Tonight on Team Voodoo Adventures, Jude's hitting the woods to prep for the upcoming deer season. Learn some helpful tips leading up to the opening day. And while they're out, the guys find a few sheds in the woods. Then we're headed to Eagan, Louisiana, to see what all the buzz is about in the honey harvesting process here in the South. You won't want to miss this sweet episode. All that and more, next on Team Voodoo Adventures.
The hunting season is almost upon us here in South Louisiana. And currently, most of us are already hitting the woods, checking up on our food plots, deer stands, or scouting new areas on public land.
What we're doing right now, I'm gonna go ahead and set up a trail camera. There's a scrape on each side of me. There's one right here by this branch, and there's another one underneath the branch that's overhanging the middle of the food plot. We've just recently lost sight of a lot of the bucks that are in the area. We were getting a bunch of trail cam pictures, a bunch of videos of the bucks all together. All of a sudden we stopped getting pictures. What we're gonna do today, it's a little technique that I like to use. Once you find the scrapes that are in the areas, and as I'm looking in the woods, there's also quite a few rubs here. This is where the bucks are actually communicating with one another. This is the area where they do a lot of traveling. It's on the edge of my food plot, so I don't have to worry about if I'm going to put feed or not. I'm not going to harass them and bust them out of here. But we're going to take the trail camera, we're going to go ahead and set it up on these two scrapes, and hopefully either locate our bucks or maybe get a bonus buck, maybe a buck's in here that we don't know about that hasn't been coming to the feed early season.
One thing to be on the lookout for, especially if your spot is near a water source and you plan on doing any ground hunting, is snakes. Water moccasins are plentiful out here, and being without cell reception alone, miles away from civilization, can turn a hunt sour real quick. When it comes to hunting whitetail here in the swamp, it takes far more effort than just walking into the woods with a license. It's knowing your prey, exploring and studying their movements. If you own land, It's working constantly to create the ideal habitat for a deer population to thrive. But when the hunt is on, one of the most important factors is something uncontrollable: wind.
Going right there, south. When we placed this stand, we assumed facing north, we had the wind in our face, that the wind was gonna carry on down the lane. That's why we didn't position the stand to look south. We figured it was a blown opportunity if a deer would not even come out because they could wind us in that direction. So we're looking at the main food plot here. We know the deer are bedding right here to our right because the woods on our left are too open. It's not a bedding area. It cannot be a bedding area. But every time we sat here, we never saw deer. We set the trail cameras up, and every time we weren't here, we saw deer. About midway through the season, we realized this is a stand we cannot hunt right now for whatever reason, and we actually tried to hunt it on several different winds, but we never got any footage on this stand. You're gonna see the bubble machine is on, and the bubbles are actually going straight into the hunting area there. Yeah, look. You can clearly see that the bubbles go into the bedding area, even on a north wind. Now, right now, the winds are 8 to 9, gusting 12, 13, 14 miles an hour. Okay, and that's because we just had a little cool spell pass through. Mid-March, we're gonna keep getting cool spells. We decided to come out here after the season and light up that bubble machine so that the bubbles can carry through the woods so that we can get a visual on exactly where our scent is going on this stand. Now that we see that just because we have a hard north wind, that the wind actually comes to the back of this food plot and swirls into the bedding area, we know now that we actually need to move this stand further back and see less of the food plot to actually catch the deer that are coming out of these trails. And you're gonna see we have my deer target actually set up right now on a deer trail, and you'll see the bubbles are actually going through the woods into where the deer are coming out on that trail. That's why for bow season, we didn't get any good shots. My tip to you today, after I've done explained all of this, is think outside the box. If a stand is not hunting right and you're not seeing what you're catching on the camera, go ahead and change things up. Come out here after the season when you can, like what we did, turn on a bubble machine, blow some bubbles, see where those bubbles travel on the wind that you thought was the best wind to hunt the area. And you too will learn, just like I did today, you're gonna have to move a stand.
It can also be a great pastime when scouting your area to see if you can find any sheds in the woods.
Shed hunting, guys. Finding a shed out here can definitely give you a clue that the deer that you were trying to let walk and grow and get that age has survived the season. This is definitely a small 10 point that we had out here. He's done shed. He's out of his stress period. Right now, all he has to do is grow larger antlers unless a disease comes out and gets him, or maybe the predators. But as of now, we know he survived hunting season and none of the neighboring properties got him. It's good to see this. You should go out today, find some sheds. You don't have to kill a deer to get those horns.
Members of the deer family generally shed their antlers from mid-January to mid-March. Start looking for sheds at preferred food sources early in the year. Find the food, find the sheds. Because food is limited in winter, deer tend to feed aggressively, and bucks often jar their antlers loose in the process. And if you don't have access to tons of private land, public land can still be a plentiful place to find them. The key is checking back often. It's the early bird who gets the worm when it comes to public land shed hunting. Deer shed their antlers every year, then grow a completely new set. This shedding procedure takes 2 to 3 weeks to complete, while the regeneration takes an entire summer to complete, before the cycle starts all over again.
out here shed hunting, I come across a deer bed, and it's right before one of the other stands that we actually didn't see any deer on this year. But again, getting 100,000 trail cameras of deer left and right, and you sit on the stand and all of a sudden you stop seeing deer. This is a deer bed. This is where they're bedding down. Within 40 feet of where we pass the four-wheelers. Now that I'm seeing this, I know I need to approach from the back side of the property to be able to hunt this next stand. You gotta get out there and do your footwork, even after the season is over. You're gonna be amazed at what you learn once these animals are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and once they actually get back in a habit. A lot of times they don't have that habit when deer season starts. Deer season starts, we start moving around. We're moving around the woods a month or two before the season starts. They kind of know something's going on. They go down into lockdown mode. Down here in South Louisiana in the swamp, we have extremely smart deer. They're hunted hard. These deer start patterning us as soon as we start trying to pattern them. A lot of times they pattern us before we pattern them. These guys are watching us every day.
Coming up after the break, we get a sweet taste of another local industry here in South Louisiana. One that takes just as much planning and focus as deer hunting. All that and more next.
What ProTech is we've got a special material that we use to encapsulate guns, ammunition, antiques. What we're going to do is take this material, build a bag out of it, insert the gun or the ammunition, whatever it is, and we're going to purge down, getting the inside environment down to about single digits in humidity, and the oxygen levels from everywhere in the world, it's about 21% down to about below 1%. Well, that's going to keep any metals, ferrous items from corrosion, rusting. So they can store them, bring them to us. This is a reusable material as well. So we can package their guns, come hunting season, cut it open, pull the gun out, use it, bring the bag back to us, and we'll repackage it for them. For you hunters, you duck hunters, you guides out there, you're leaving ammo in the blinds, and you come back the next day or a week later, and you find that the box is wet and the shells are falling all over. We can pre-package. You can leave it in. You got 5 blinds, you go and leave a couple boxes in each blind. They're there when the hunters need them. You can come back next year and it's still good.
Y'all go ahead and look it up at
ProtectDefender.com.
So you guys have recently started dating?
Yes, a little less than a month.
Coming up on 2 months now, yeah.
Cool. I want to show you guys these 3 Chevy SUVs. The first one is called the Trax.
Beautiful.
Do you think it would be good for moving in together?
Moving in together?
Okay. Well, this is the Chevy Equinox.
Wow.
Nice.
Perfect for when you 2 have your first kid.
Give me some time.
Okay. This is the Traverse for when you have your 5 kids, 2 dogs, and 1 cat.
Oh.
5?
Well, no matter what stage of life you're in, Chevy has an SUV for you.
We have it all planned out, thanks.
Artco Equipment is proud to be a sponsor of Team Voodoo. And to all you Voodooites out there, we want to offer a special deal. 5% above cost on any UTV, any tractor, or any trailer. And that's only for you guys, the ones who are outdoors, just like Artco. The team here at Artco Equipment is proud to be a sponsor of Team Voodoo. And remember, when the only road is no road, it's Team Voodoo and Artco Equipment.
Louisiana designated the honeybee as official state insect in 1977. Bee pollination is critical to plant and human survival. Beeswax and honey are just surplus gifts from this tiny wonder of nature. The plant world expends a lot of energy attracting bees and other insects with brilliantly colored flowers and sweet nectar. Nectar is produced solely to attract pollinating insects. The honeybee is recognized as the official state symbol in 17 states, primarily because honeybees play such an important role in agriculture. The preservation and sustainability of the honeybee as a pollinator and producer of agriculture, industrial, medical, and consumer-friendly products is done through education and scientific research. The first bee appears in the fossil records dating 40 million years ago, and the honeybee has remained physically and socially unchanged for 30 million years. Probably originating in tropical Africa, they were brought to the New World with the first Spanish and English colonists, quickly escaping to the wild and eventually populating the entire Western Hemisphere. Beekeeping, formerly apiculture, predates writing, and ancient people of Asia, the Mediterranean basin, and Central America all kept bees. For them, as for us, the most obvious benefits of beekeeping are access to fresh, local honey to consume and beeswax for use in various crafts. We had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Larry Thibodeau, also known as the Bee Whisperer, here in Egan, Louisiana.
Well, first off, we're going to go into the beehive and we're going to find the honey. And once we find the honey in whatever box it's in, we're going to take it, knock the bees off of it, brush them off, or depending on how aggressive they are. We'll take them off, we'll take the honey here, we'll uncap the honey, we'll put it in an extractor, spin it out through the extractor, strain it, and when we get through straining it, we'll bottle it and we'll have fresh honey today that was in the hive this morning.
Now you said how aggressive the bees are gonna be. The biggest thought on everybody's mind right now is how many times will we be stung?
Hopefully we won't get stung at all, but it is possible.
It is possible.
That's one of the first questions. Oh, you keep bees? Do you get stung? Yes, we get stung.
You get stung.
Got me right on the nose.
You ever had a pretty bad experience with a whole bunch of bees one time? Maybe forgot to put your mask on or didn't tape your sleeves or something?
Yeah, actually this year in the month of June, I was selling a few hives and we all get complacent. And I went to get some bees and I didn't zip up. And I took the top box off, took the second one off, and I had to bend down to get the bottom one. And when I bent down, the suit opened up and I got about 20 stings in my face. And I'd never been stung that many times and I didn't have my EpiPen with me. So I called Connie, she brought it, but came home, took a Benadryl. Of course, it puts me to sleep when I take Benadryl, but I didn't swell up or nothing.
So
usually if I get...
You're allergic to bees?
No.
No.
Just because you swell up, that's a misconception that a lot of people have. They'll say, oh, well, I swell when I get stung by bees. That's a normal reaction. If you're actually allergic to bees, your throat closes, you can't breathe, you actually have to go to the emergency room.
Because I heard you said your EpiPen, that was for in case?
In case, yeah.
Okay, cool deal. Whew, because I didn't bring one.
Well, there's one guy in our bee club in Jennings, he was 34 years keeping bees, and just that one sting. And once you get it, you can't never get around bees again. There's a series of shots that you can go through to take where they build up your immune, but it's pretty much over. If you have an anaphylactic shock from bees, it's pretty much, your bee career is over.
Okay, well, I'm gonna kind of change things up a little bit. Do you also, I think you mentioned that you actually sell products to help work the bees and whatnot. You make boxes, you sell combs or anything like that?
Yes, I sell boxes, I sell frames. The tops and the bottoms I make, but the rest of the stuff I buy. And we stock it here. And in January, February, March is probably our biggest month because that's when the most is going on. Like last month I sold $265 worth of stuff. So when it's right now is what we call a dearth. When the bees are over, there's nothing for the bees to eat. There's no pollen, there's no nectar. So there's just not much going on. In fact, we're actually feeding sugar water and giving them supplement pollen so they can still produce their young. So the springtime is when it gets kicking.
Y'all, you said something about maybe making some funds. My next question to you, Did this start out as a hobby, or did you really did you plan on this being your like a retirement or whatnot? How did that all come about?
No, it didn't start off. My son wanted free honey to make mead with, and my dad had bees when we were young, so he said, well, you know, if you'd get some more bees, I wouldn't have to buy bees. I wouldn't have to buy honey to make mead. And I said, no, because the equipment is getting kind of expensive. And then my wife taught school, so Connie came home with a cup full of honey straws that one of the kids, Joey Runner's kids, gave her, and you snip off. It's like a pixie stick.
Right.
And she stirred it in the coffee. She said, man, that was pretty good. She said, maybe you ought to get some. And there's different kinds of hive tool. I like this one because it's got, you can break it and you can grab
A little screwdriver and a little pliers on the end.
That's right. And you take it off. And this is the feeders I was telling y'all about. Now, I didn't put any feed in it because, but you see how the bees come up in it?
Yes, sir.
And they crawl down the side and they drink right here. And a lot of bees come up there and they can't get out, so they have this screen that they can crawl back of and get out of the liquid, and they go back down in the hive.
Oh, okay. Like
And
the
I'll
ones
show
in the bucket that were drowning themselves.
Right. And so, but you just take this off and it's loose because I was in it this morning. Now this one, you see the few bees at the top?
Brand new.
It's brand new. They're just starting to work on them. You see, you can have a little bit of wax that they're drawing on it.
Yes, sir.
And that's what they do. They start a little bit at a time.
Oh, there they are.
Okay, but these aren't bees yet. And then whenever you break it loose from the bottom,
Ooh, that's the honey that makes it stick like that?
propolis.
Propolis.
They take
That's from them.
no, it's from the bee, from trees. They take the rosin from the trees,
Right.
and they use it as glue. It's like I almost glue anything
okay.
over 3/8 of an inch. They put wax and honey. Under 3/8 of an inch, they propolize it and seal it. And then whenever you pick these up, if you hang them like this, the frames will touch at the bottom,
Right.
and they'll mash bees. So you put them like this,
Stand them up.
and look, you see they got bees at the bottom.
There they are.
But this is where the bees are at.
Oh, I can see a little bit of wax coming up right there. Ooh.
And then
Some goodness right there.
you start from the edge and pull them out. And usually on the edges, it's nectar and honey.
There it is.
But you see, this is brood.
Brood.
That's the baby bees. What they do, they start off with an egg.
Right.
The egg hatches into a larvae. On the 7th day from the time the egg was laid, they cap it. It goes from a complete metamorphosis from a larvae to a bee in 21 days. And this side, usually you can see the wet nectar right there.
Ah, check it out. How much honey you think you waste if you do that though?
You don't,
You don't, okay.
because you can squeeze this.
Oh, okay, okay. That part?
Just a little piece of scappings.
Oh man, I don't want the whole thing, but
Wax, you need the wax too. I spit it out.
so y'all make it like a snack. And that, my friends, is how you make honey. We're out here in Egan, Louisiana with the bee whisperer, Mr. Larry, making honey or borrowing honey from the bees out here.
I haven't seen it. I've been doing bees for 7 years, and I haven't seen a decline. I've seen more of an increase because right now beekeeping is cool. Everybody wants to do their part for the economy, so everybody's getting bees. And in fact, in the springtime, when we sell bees in the spring, you have trouble getting them. You have to place your order in the fall of the previous year to even be able to get them, because right now bees are the thing. Everybody wants to get them. So, but they still are declining. We have what's called colony collapse. You go and the brood, which is their babies, the brood is there, honey's there, just no bees. They're just here today, tomorrow they're gone. Nobody knows nobody knows why, or Some people say, oh, it's Roundup. Some people say this, but we really don't know. You know, they're just there today, they're gone. At some point, they may find out, but right now, nobody.
We hope you enjoyed our adventures today and learned a thing or two as well. We sure did. If you want to see all of our adventures, subscribe to our YouTube channel. After that, follow us on Facebook and Instagram too. I'm Jude Mike.
I'm sweet as honey, and this bee got me freaking out.
And that buzzing you hear means this was a Team Voodoo adventure.
There goes my phone.
You'll never guess the places that I've been.
Zach's getting all dressed up right there. And as you get dressed up, there's a sweet smell of honey in the air, but it's just a faint smell of smoke. And you're about to see what we can do with that smoke. We're gonna protect ourselves. Yeah.
Never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that dream that I live in. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, and I'll just make this bed my home. Oh, darling, please just let me sleep.
While you're looking at that, I'm gonna sit right here and play all the tunes. Got my accordion right here, and if I play a whole lot of Cajun goodness, my accordion starts to smoke. See how good I am? Thing catches fire, boy. I got a better one than that. Ready? Yeah. If I can catch it. Oh, it's coming.
Never gonna come down from above.
Take your time.
There we go, there we go.
'Cause everything looks better from above. And nothing's ever as it seems yet, except in that world that I dream of. Never gonna lose the ones I love. Never gonna lose the ones I love. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in that world that I dream of. Oh, don't wake me up before you go, 'cause I can't face this day alone. Oh, darling.